got a great idea, Nick.
What's up?
Let's go to the cemetery. We're going to find a cemetery with a famous serial killer.
Okay.
We're going to make sure he's dead.
Okay, the question I got is, why? Can I at least just take me some giant metal pole to act as a lightning rod? We have to wait until it rains at least. Dramatic effect.
He's already buried.
Yes.
We're going to make sure he's buried by digging him up.
Hey, that sounds like a logical plan to me.
Well, things didn't go too well for Tommy Jarvis in part 6, but things will go well for us because we're not digging up any dead bodies. We're here with another episode of the theories of Friday the 13th.
So do I need to put this guy back then?
You actually dug up the body?
Yeah, he's right here, standing right there.
I can't take you anywhere, man. Always digging up bodies, man. What's wrong with you, man?
I just wanted to see George Washington.
Today we're on episode part 6, which means Jason lives because of Tommy Jarvis. And lightning.
Lightning, mainly.
Mainly lightning.
Mainly lightning. I guess mainly Tommy, because Tommy was the one who put the lightning pole there.
What about his poor friend that came with him, being a good friend, only to have his heart eviscerated?
Well, the poor friend should have just kept running.
Hawes?
Yeah.
Yeah, why'd he come back with a shovel and hit Jason in the back of the head? What are you doing, Hawes? What are you doing?
Well, we had to keep our main character alive. We can't have the adventures of Haas.
I would have watched that on Tubi.
No, you wouldn't. You don't even like Tubi.
I think Tubi is good for movies like that, of that quality, where you're following the adventures of Hawes.
What about the adventures of Roy Burns?
I'm going to get into that, because this might have been the adventure of Roy Burns itself.
So, yeah, because theory number 1, Tommy Jarvis actually revived Roy Burns, not Jason Voorhees, even though the tombstone says Jason Voorhees.
Well, you kind of answered it right there in the question, in the theory.
But Jason was cremated in part 5, remember?
Theory number 2. Part 5 is not canon in part 6.
Oh, it's not?
No, because Jason, as you said, was cremated in part 5.
So should I put Jason's ashes back where I found them then too?
You got his ashes too, man?
Yeah.
I'm not taking you to any kind of graveyard cemetery situation ever again, man.
Oh no, him was the mausoleum right next to his beheaded mom.
Folks, we were going to do a live stream from the cemetery, but now with Nick over here digging up bodies and finding Jason's ashes and doing all kinds of crazy things.
Should I put away the Ouija board too?
Put away the Ouija board. Put it away. Stop invoking the spirits, all right?
I'm not invoking the spirits. I'm invoking the ashes of Jason Voorhees. Well, if Jason was cremated, whose ashes do I have?
They leave you alone as long as you don't bother them.
Says who?
I don't know. All horror movies.
Okay, hold on. Charlie, leave me alone. No, he says no.
Now, to go back to your question for a second. We're suggesting, somebody silly suggesting the idea that this could be one Roy Burns.
I'm not silly. The page I have pulled up is.
Well, Zombie Jason does walk more similar to Roy Burns than he does old human Jason.
And he does have the same body type as Roy Burns. At least in one scene. Remember, he was too fat, though.
He is mimicking everything, so... He is mimicking the movements of Jason.
Yeah.
So, that said, no, this can't be Roy Burns. Because what you said initially, why would Roy Burns not be buried in a gravestone that says Roy Burns? Why would he be buried under the gravestone of Jason Voorhees?
What if because he was a copycat killer of Jason, what if they did Roy Burns with Jason?
Maybe. You know what really pissed me off?
What's up?
If Zombie Jason was Roy Burns, and he still didn't go kill Victor. Victor's still chilling in the jail cell. All the police are dead. Nobody's came to bail him out. I'm like, he still got off scot-free.
So, with that small of a town, the crime itself, and the fact that the death penalty was big and proud back in those days, something tells me Victor ain't alive much any longer. He was probably put in the front of the firing squad just to scare the living tinkle out of him.
Yes, I think you're right. But, as your theory, no. There's no Roy Burns involvement in part 6, and part 6 has no involvement in part 5. It's not canon. This movie is only going by what happened in part 4, and then we have part 6.
So we don't have a Tommy Jarvis trilogy then?
No, we have a Tommy Jarvis duology.
Well, actually, here's a theory I got for you. Since if part 5 is not canon, then that could mean that instead of it not being canon, it could just mean somebody's writing these stories after the events of part 5, and he's making himself not canon.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Tommy Jarvis became a famous author and wrote all the adventures of Jason Voorhees after the events of Part 5.
If that is the case, if Tommy Jarvis wrote the rest of the sequels, he sucks at continuity.
Well, we already knew that.
What did you do with the timeline, Tommy Jarvis? Why did you do that in Part 7? Well, I don't want to get into what all the mess ups he did as a writer. This obviously, as a writer, he's no Stephen King, but no. I'm going to say that Tommy Jarvis, after Part 6, went to prison because police showed up at the lake. It's a bunch of dead bodies.
And apparently that Jason was still there in the next movie, so I guess they never pulled him out of the water.
Yeah, so Tommy didn't tell him about Jason the Bottom of the Water. They already, the cops already, remember the deputy who was locked up?
Yeah.
He already was thinking that Tommy was the killer.
Fair.
All you got is Megan saying, no, he's not the killer.
Yeah, but that's still 2-on-1. It's not like the deputy has anyone to go off of anymore.
Yeah, but look. Somebody had to go down for them killings, and old Jason's still at the bottom of the lake, so he wasn't blamed.
Here's another question: Why would Megan defend him if he is the one who killed her dad?
That is true.
Because she seemed to still love her dad.
Of course, I can't reconcile how they get away scot free. Jason's still at the bottom of the lake. What did the police investigate? What was the investigation then?
Either the investigation was done by Deputy Doohickey.
Okay.
Or Deputy Red Dot, whatever you want to call him. Because the only thing he cared about is wherever that red dot is, boom.
I think somewhere, maybe like 2-3 years later, some detective sitting at his desk somewhere in Crystal Lake, or even outside of Crystal Lake, the detective's in there, he calls one of his buddies. He's like, hey, you took care of like getting the guy's body out the water, right? And the other guy's like, nah, last we talked, you were going to do it. Wait a minute. There's been 95 killings at Crystal Lake since then. I thought you were going to get the body because someone messed up there. Someone should be fired, quite frankly.
Well, to be fair, if they had gotten the body, then we'd just have more dead policemen.
Fair. True.
And then there'd be no one to investigate those 95 dead bodies.
No, I think they would have sent Creighton Duke down there to get Jason's body.
No, that's a New Line Cinema thing.
Jason and his relationship with kids.
So, I think Jason sees kids as so innocent that he just has to protect them so they don't end up in the same situation that he ended up of being drowned, if you go with that theory, or almost drowned and being away from his mom for like, I'll say 10 years, if you go with that theory. So, overall, I say Jason is a protector of children, even though it was children that tormented and almost drowned Jason.
So from your theory, Jason sees himself in the kids and doesn't want the same result for them, what happened to him. So he feels the need to protect them, not to kill them.
Yes.
So those kids in the cabin in Part 6 are all safe. Yes. Even when Jason's staring down a little girl with a look of curiosity, almost saying, what are you?
I know why. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
It's because that little girl's name is Nancy.
Okay.
And he knew she was destined for greatness against some sort of dream demon.
You know that movie came out, Part 6 came out after the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
And your point is, the timeline is so all over the place.
I don't know if it's...
Literally the very next year, Nancy could have just grown up to 16, used the time machine to go back to 1984.
All right, question. Tommy, at some point during the movie, gets the great genius idea to go to a bookstore and buy a bunch of books on voodoo.
Hoodoo?
Voodoo.
Oh, you do.
For two reasons. First, to figure out how to take out Jason. And two, to see how he can put his soul into a new body like Chucky.
Why would he want that?
Because he said, hey, if Chucky can do it, I can do it. My point being, he gets some books on voodoo. He figures out the way to get Jason for good is to restore him to his original resting place. Now, he takes that as being the bottom of the lake, but in our headcanon, Jason never actually drowned, so his original resting place would be...
The graveyard?
No, the hospital where his mom gave birth to him? I don't know. Like, original resting place, what does that even mean?
Where he originally died at, so it would either be the Jarvis house...
Back at the cemetery that he dug him out of.
Or the cemetery that they dug him out of, yeah.
Yeah, because human Jason, in the canon, he died the first time at the end of part 4.
Yeah.
Got buried.
So it could be the floorboards of the Jarvis house, which is probably being taken over by Megan and her family, or Tina and her family from the next movie.
So the reason I asked is because it's the idea of at the end of part 6, now he's the rock tied to him, drags on the bottom of the lake. Jason has superhuman strength. He's not breaking the chain. Mm-hmm. Is there something magical going on where he is actually back at his original resting place and the voodoo's actually working and keeping Jason there?
I don't think so, for one reason. Because he wouldn't, because if that was the case, how could he get the ability to then jump out of the water, still tied to the rock, and attack Tommy off the boat? Because the minute he hit that part of the water and that rock took him down, he should have been subdued if that lore was real.
Right.
Instead, he just straight up attacked Tommy. The only thing that got him off of Tommy is when Megan used the propellers to slice his throat.
So you think more so just in the water, he just can't really get the superhuman strength within the water to break the chain. It's too
right, because if he had
superhuman
human strength in the water, maybe it's not the fact he's afraid of water. Maybe water does limit his powers because you don't have the same movement in water.
If that rock is so heavy, how did Tommy even move into the boat?
If that rock was so heavy, how did Jason jump out of the water? Did he just use the rock, push it down, jump out of the water quick enough to jump on the boat and drag Tommy down?
No, the rock was still in the boat at that point. When the boat breaks in half, then the rock goes in the water. But at that time, it's still there. But the question is, how is Tommy by himself getting this rock, which I'm guessing now it's got to be 300, 400, 500 pounds based on it being enough to it drags Jason to the bottom of the lake. We see Tommy pushing the rock. I'm like, how did he move the rock? Where did he find the rock? How did he get it all the way into the boat by himself? how did the rock not just automatically break through the boat?
So what I think it is it's kind of hard to pick up rocks in water. You know, if it's that heavy, because the water does add stuff to it. Also, I don't know, Jason's strength, I guess, just got sapped at some point. It was the ending.
Yeah, but this is not even human Jason was pretty strong. This is zombie Jason who's really strong.
I mean, he only ripped off one guy's arm and then turned a tree into a smiley face.
Yeah, he threw the guy with one arm. The guy flew across the forest like a dart, facing the tree.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's all I got for part 6.
Well, everyone, as always, you don't have to go home, but you do have to grab these ashes and put them back in the mausoleum. I'm pretty sure I'm banned from that graveyard ever since I had some weird rave thing going on and a bunch of zombies who ate brains showed up. I don't know. I left before that point happened.
Sounds like it's party time. Sounds like I'm not coming to any parties you ever throw again.
Oh, don't worry. I'll throw another party at Busch Gardens later.
Next week, we're talking Tina, the telepathic Jason adversary.
Oh, good. I thought you were talking about my mom's. We about to fight, dude.
All right. Until next time, folks.